Sorry, my wife kind of asked me to do this, so I don't know exactly even the whole. I'm starting to understand like the context of what are all you guys are speaking about. Um, yeah, I was just kind of my wife had talked about you guys highly, and she took the kids to a friend's house, and she's like, "Do you do this with them?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah,
Um,
I know.
uh,
She just kind of threw you
yeah,
in here.
so
I know. Thanks for taking the volunteer position here,
yeah, no
proxy.
problem.
But yeah, we're just basically starting this school, awareness, venture and awareness school for people to help people reach their potential and become more aware, basically, and not have to use the traditional educational system, which is all full of agendas. So this is more real
Right.
because we're working with the natural environment. So we're just kind of at the early stages here, getting things together, getting people together. Marquetta and you are welcome to be part of the management part. We'll have instructors, which you could be instructor and management, but basically just setting this thing up, getting it to roll. And I really found you on Facebook. I'm really impressed. I mean, I hiked the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail, in 2014 with my son, who was, 30 years
Awesome.
old. But you hiked it with 3 kids. Can you talk about that? Young kids?
Yeah. Uh, it's me and Marquetta had wanted to hike together. She had already done it in 2012, and we had met building trails in the Shasta Trinity wilderness, and um, so we had been wanting to do it for a long time. And life throws wrenches in what we want sometimes to yeah, some other responsibilities on in life, and kind of pushed it out further and further and further, and until we had 3 children of our own. And then after COVID and the lockdowns and the mass vaccinations and just everything that had happened, um, I was just me and my wife were, yeah, kind of at our kind of at our wits end. And so we decided, and we don't have to finish, we don't have to do anything according to anybody. We can just do what we are good at, and and show our kids this experience of walking every day, and seeing the changing landscape. And yeah, so that's what we did. And yeah,
How old,
physically
how old were
hard,
you
but
kids when you went on the hike?
uh, when we started, they were 3.5, um, almost 2, and almost 5. So,
That is amazing. I mean,
and
you
yeah, the
made it.
sequoia, the oldest. Yeah, yeah, it was amazing.
I mean,
Yeah.
you had to carry
Um,
the 2-year-old for parts or most of it.
yeah, no, my wife carried him on her back for the whole
Okay.
time. And then he would walk like 500 feet at a time. And then towards the end, he walked up to like a mile straight.
Okay.
Um, and then, yeah, we'd carry him and stuff. Um, yeah, it was excruciatingly painful physically. And, but it was good. It teaches you that you can do more than what you think, I think. The body wants to give up, but our minds are strong, and we can keep going if we choose. Obviously you can kind of push it too far and get hurt, but we didn't. And yeah, and like raising kids is no different out on a trail or in the wilderness than it is at home. There's Yeah, there's obviously give and take to both scenarios, and I don't think any one is better than the other. It just depends on your situation and what you're trying to teach your children. And there's many ways to do it. I mean, we wanted to teach connection with nature and the and you know, the feeling of being grateful for being alive. And you can do that at home with, yeah, planting and uh, yeah, just being outside and looking at everything. You don't necessarily have to go on a super long hike. Me and Marquetta just kind of are that type of person, for better, for worse, for our own our own lives. So yeah,
That you did
it's
this
good.
last year, and how many miles did you get to on the Pacific Crest Trail, which is from Mexico to Canada, for those of you who don't know?
We did half, so it was 1,300 miles.
Wow.
Yeah. The kids walked. Joshua and Sequoia walked 1,300 miles. It was pretty incredible.
The logistics of that, how did you figure that out? Carrying food and for 5 people and
It
clothing?
was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of weight. I carried almost 8 pounds, especially through the desert because of the water. So I had to carry a lot of water for long periods of time. And we kind of we learned as we went. There's not a lot of pre-planning. Anybody who has kids obviously knows this. It's almost impossible to plan with children. And then let alone even by yourself, you think you're going to do something a certain way and then it changes, and that's just life. So with the kids, it was just kind of go with what was happening and what was available, and just kind of trying to let go of the control, I guess, a little bit, of trying to have everything perfect, and just kind of allow things to unfold the way they were going to, and it worked out. I mean, just like this small group right here, growing with each other, I can already feel that we have a lot in common. It's the same way out there. Everybody just kind of like becomes instantly supportive because you all have the same experience going on in your life. So it was really amazing. We had so much help from everybody, and random people, other hikers. Yeah, it was really uplifting to feel that, because, you know, during COVID, I'm sure we all felt, it felt like everybody was pretty disconnected. So that was like the complete opposite. And it was definitely something I needed to feel again in life, which was, yeah, really uplifting and great.
Can you kind of go through each of your kids and their experience and how they saw it and what they saw from it? They must have
Yeah,
given you feedback
yeah.
from each age
Sequoia,
group.
yeah, Sequoia, she's 5 now. Well, 5.5. She'll be 6 in May. She definitely, I think, grew a lot in the aspect of being able to talk to people. Um, she kind of lost fear of people, and some kids are just more, I think, born more or less shy and not shy. It's different, right? Sequoia was more on the shy side when she started to develop her personality, but out there, she really grew in that area and wanted to like lead a lot. She's very like leader oriented. And she grew her imagination a whole bunch with the play that she had, telling stories and playing with rocks. It's fine. She would make something up to do, and that was pretty awesome. And her relationship with her younger brother Joshua, the middle one, grew tremendously, which was amazing to see. Joshua was 3.5 when we started. He turned 4 in October, and he probably grew the most out of all the kids. To my wife, and my wife held his hand. Well, he held her finger, like, like a his hands are small, for like 500 miles straight. And like I was always behind with Sequoia usually. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, there's no way we can keep doing this. My wife has a baby on her back and holding Joshua's hands, and she's like has to turn sideways to be able to fit on the trail while holding his hand. And it was painful for me to watch. I was like, this can't last very long. But my wife is, yeah, she's pretty badass and doesn't let those types of things really bother her. And then finally Joshua just kind of let go one day, and he just like blasted it off. And the whole rest of the time he walked by is really, really amazing in that respect. And then Standa, our youngest, what was really surprising, he wasn't even 2. And somewhere along the lines in the desert, because water was so essential, it was like all we thought about was water. That was like the main focus was water. He started to point into all the and he was always like, water. And he started to understand, like, without us really doing anything, he just started to understand where the water flows when it falls from the sky and where water would be. It was really interesting. I really think any child being put in that situation will naturally evolve those types of that type of awareness. If they spend enough time outside, they figure these things out on their own. I think every human is capable of that. And so, yeah, by the end, it was really interesting because all of them, like, they already understand a lot about water, which is really interesting. I had no idea that was going to happen. But I would say that's probably the highlight of how I interpret their experience. Of course, if you talk to them, they're gonna go off and tell you all kinds of stuff. That I don't know what's going on in their heads. So it's.
And you went through the Sierras too, then. Did you skip that, or did you go
through the Sierras? There was no, we went through. There was a lot of snow. And the kids loved the snow. And so that made it so much easier. They loved it. It was like, if there was snow 500 feet off the trail, they would run off to it and go play in it. And which is hard because, you got a lot of weight and you're trying to make miles because you only have a certain amount of food. And so you kind of aren't able to not hike. You have to hike. But they would go run off and play in the snow, and they loved it. They loved it a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if you all know about hiking in the snow and crossing raging rivers and traversing dangerous slopes full of snow, ice. I mean, this is like not that easy. And she's carrying, how much did he weigh, the 2-year-old?
He was, my wife was carrying around like 55 to 60 pounds, including him. Yeah. So he was, I think it was like 22 to 25 pounds.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I thought 30 pounds was heavy, like.
It is, yeah.
But this is, and you were carrying how much?
Like 80 to 85.
Jeez. This is like a military expedition.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, we were doing low amount of miles, so it kind of was like easier in that way. Obviously, going any further than that with that much weight would be brutal. But it was hard, very hard. So
what, 10 mile, 15 miles days, or what?
We did, yeah, mostly 10s. I think our biggest day was 17. And then that was all downhill coming off of San Jacinto in Southern California. And yeah, so it ranged, 10 to 12 was like our median for hiking.
Amazing. Yeah, but this is like real education. I mean, what you're giving them, the exposure here to the environment and how you did it with the support you gave them. I mean, it's tremendous. What you're giving them as parents.
Thank you.
That's why I took my son. He's 30. He was 30, but still, there's a bond. There's a support that we'll always have. That came from that experience. and this is what we want to do at this school, make it more real. You know, we want to make it so it's not just intellectual nonsense and, you know, getting kids prepared for society and, you know, fit in. We want to help people understand that, you know, food, air, water, the quality of these things is necessary for us to survive here. And that's what's important. And this is what you're doing, and what these others here are interested in the environment and doing something to help others, you know, to support others. And what you see on the trail too, it's like you're supporting each other. And you said it right, it's a focus. You know, you have walk, eat, sleep, basically, but each person understands that the other person is in the same boat, and so there's a support, there's a community that develops, and we don't have that in society here normally. Everybody's competing against each other, or, you know, every man for himself. So there's potential here. You have Facebook. You're not on Facebook, so what's the best way to communicate with you, David?
Oh, actually, I have a Facebook.
Oh, you
My
do?
wife does not have a Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I just never use it really. But I can start to use it again.
well, that's how we communicate. We have in chat in our NAAS
Messenger.
Facebook group. You know,
Okay.
we'll
Awesome.
invite you, and then you can participate in the chats during the week. That's another thing. Did you guys share dreams like some of the indigenous people share their dreams a lot? You know, did you share your dreams on the hike at all? Did you talk about them at all with the kids or with you?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's weird. I used to dream a lot more vividly and kind of have those lucid dreams a lot before I had kids. I don't have them as much anymore. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the everyday hustle and bustle and stress of everything. But I try to frequently ask my children if they have dreams. They usually say the same thing. Something silly. And I can't really tell if it was like they're just kind of like trying to imagine having a dream, or if they really did have a dream, because there's no emotion attached to it whatsoever. And they kind of just seem like they're just like saying stuff. So, but I
Same
definitely,
thing. Same thing.
yeah. You know, I try to poke them.
Because they're connected, they have a connection. They're not literalized yet from our educational system. So it may seem like it's
Totally.
it's this or that, but it's there. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
That's we're getting a lot from them. They're the seers of the day, because they're more pure and innocent and sincere, and they bring back, you know, information that we don't have access to in their own way. So it's good to learn from each other. We take care of them, and they take care of us in a sense.